guy named Frank Gannon, who had Frank Gannon wrote speeches for Nixon and was a very close friend of his. And weirdly, he became the guy who books the comedians on Letterman. And when I moved to New York back in 1990 or so, being on Letterman was all anybody wanted. So Gannon was the most important person in comedy at the time. And he was a strange guy who was very serious. And he would just come and he'd watch you. And if he liked you, he'd get Morty to come and maybe you'd be on the show. So he liked me. He never got me on the show, but he liked me. So I went to Letterman's office and met him. And I asked him about Nixon because he wrote, Nixon has one big biography called RN that Gannon co-wrote. And he told me that when you get a few drinks in Nixon, he says the same people that got the Kennedys got me. It's the same people that got, he said it's the same machine that took out John and Robert
Kennedy.
Came after him. He said they just couldn't use bullets anymore because it was getting too. They were on
exactly what we said. We said that without him.
Watergate was. He said Watergate was something that happened all the time. It was just like, and still does. I mean, it's not like oh my goodness. It's how things are done. Yeah, it's a safe with $1 million in it. What president doesn't have a safe with $1 million?
Yeah. It was
so that's Nixon's story. That was Nixon's story. He didn't say it in public, because the same as he conceded the presidency to Kennedy, which Kennedy stole. I mean, everyone knows that his father took suitcases of money to delegations and stole the presidency, and Nixon knew it. And he was like, I'm not gonna, this is not good for the country to get into it. That's why he resigned instead of standing trial. And that's why he doesn't talk about that's the story, you know?
Yeah. That's a good most interesting president.
Look up John Hinckley and the Bush family. Their families were linked. The Hinckleys, I think, gave money to the Bushes or something like that. But apparently Hinckley was a guest in a Bush house an alarmingly short amount of time before he shot President Reagan. And a very interesting thing about it is that George Bush was where when Reagan was shot? Do you know where George Bush was?
When Reagan was shot?
Texas. He was in Texas. There's this thing about
Wasn't
Texas.
He in Dallas when Kennedy got shot?
That's what folks say. And he was at Texas is this place to it feels like
he was Skull and Bones.
But Skull and Bones, very big. George Bush, and we'll get to him, but George Bush was a power nerd, and he was a guy who really hated Reagan.
The shooter's father, John Hinckley Sr., was friends with George H.W. Bush.
Yes. Yeah, so if you're the vice president and you have anything to do with the president being shot, you need to be in Texas. Because if there's any sort of we have word that vice president, whatever, and then the governor of Texas is like, we're not extraditing. It's the one place he might be able to hole up and maybe even stage a coup from. He's like, no, we're the Republic of Texas now. It could work. So Bush is in Texas and he refuses to come to Washington. It was a big deal because he just should have taken over, but he refuses to come to Washington. He's like, I'm not going to show up in the White House while the Gipper's fighting for his life. He made big statements about it, but he stayed away. And it got really chaotic, as we all know. There's a great movie.
How long was Reagan out?
I think a few days, but Nancy. So there's an amazing movie made by HBO called The Day the President Was Shot. Richard Crenna plays Reagan, and Richard Dreyfuss plays Alexander Haig. And it's like a comedy in a way, but anyway, when Nixon was when Reagan, they drove him to George. There's a hospital that's for the president. First of all, the cottage, the White House, they have a emergency room. They have everything there. But he was bleeding. He was spitting blood. So
Hinckley.
And
Hinckley got him.
He got him. I mean, we got
Herbert Walker. Yeah, we got.
Okay.
Let's skip H. Oh, this one's too. Damn. Skip HW. Fuck it.
Okay. Herbert Walker Bush,
CIA.
CIA.
Evil, if you look into everything they've done.
He engineered his whole life to become president. He had Reagan shot. And his father, Prescott Bush,
Kennedy.
Prescott Bush, was a senator. And he traded with the Nazis. Like, he got censured by the Senate for selling goods to the Nazis back when they were. There's a lot of Americans making money selling shit to Hitler.
Yeah.
There's another McCain thing. Fuck. Oh, he had a great story about Obama. Because he met Obama when Obama was in the Senate. And someone asked McCain, what was your first impression of him? So he said, well, I remember when Obama, his first day, like in the Senate, he came to see me. And he said, listen, I think that, you're the smartest guy on the other side, and I want to be bipartisan. And he said, let's you and I talk and find something that we both care about. Like, that was Obama's first idea. And so McCain and him they talked for about an hour, and they came up with something they both cared about. And he's like, let's work on that together. And McCain said, sure. And he was a veteran senator at this point. And Obama goes off, and then the Democratic leadership gets to Obama and goes, dude, you don't just fucking do that. The fuck are you doing? Mm. And then he saw McCain in the hall. Obama was like, he just pulled the plug. And so the interviewer asked McCain, you have a bad opinion of him? And he goes, not at all. He said, it was a rookie mistake. It was a rookie mistake that he thought he could just do
to think we could get
what
something
you want.
Done.
And also the way he handled the getting out of it was rookie. He said, but I knew that he had a good heart. This is how McCain was such a guy. He was running against the guy, and he kept praising him.